Do you have a camera that you call your everyday carry, or EDC for short? And do you actually carry that camera with you every day, or do you just take it out when you're actually going to go and do some photography? Now, for me personally, I've definitely fallen into that latter camp with my X100V and my Leica M10. But for the last 30 days, or 43,000 minutes, however you want to measure it, I've been taking this little Ricoh with me everywhere I go and truly putting the every into everyday carry. So first up then, quickly, why did I set on the Ricoh for this challenge? Now there's two main reasons. First of all, this camera is truly pocketable. I knew I wouldn't be able to do this challenge if I had to actually wear my camera all the time, so being able to slip it in my pocket was something that I knew I needed. The other thing is the fact this camera has a fixed lens. I wanted a fixed lens camera because I didn't want to have to think about what sort of lens to attach to the front of it. I wanted this to be like frictionless, seamless, so a small camera with a fixed lens was exactly what I needed. Now, a lot of people reached out whilst I was doing this and said, why don't you just use your phone rather than spending lots of money on a camera? Now, for me personally, my phone just doesn't inspire me. I need a device that is completely separate from my phone, so a camera, to really kind of get my head in that photographer mindset. There's just something, and I know it's a mindset thing, that stops me from taking pictures on my phone with maybe that kind of intent that I think this challenge required. Now, I don't really want to talk too much about this camera because I've done a review of this camera already. I really want to focus on what it's like and what I got out of having an everyday carry, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I think my expectations were just a little bit too high coming into this. Now, I think we've all been there, haven't we, where we've kind of experienced a moment happening in front of us and we thought to ourselves, I wish I had a camera now. Just such a great opportunity just passed us by and we were cameraless. Now, I think I was expecting the fact that I had an everyday carry with me literally all the time to fill them blanks, but that wasn't really the case. Now, a really good example of this is we frequently walk our dog in the woodland area behind my house. Now, I frequently will see deer and wildlife and birds and think to myself, I really wish I had a camera right now. And I thought maybe this little EDC Ricoh might fill the gap, but it didn't, because what I'm actually thinking in that moment is I would like exactly my Fujifilm X-H2S and a really long telephoto lens, and this camera still didn't plug that gap. So I think sometimes we think to ourselves, I just wish I had a camera now, when the reality is I wish I had this exact camera now. This one didn't always fill that gap. And I mentioned at the start of this video that I really needed a pocketable camera, and as this kind of month went on, this became more and more true. Now, there was a particular week in this month that I went on a bit of a lad's trip to Malta. Now, typically, no cameras are really acceptable on this trip. Like if I bought my X100V and had it around my neck all the time, it just wouldn't have felt right. Having this tiny little Ricoh in my pocket was perfect for this. And it meant that actually coming back from the trip now, we've got some really nice photos that I took during our time there. And this was probably like the most important week, I think, for this camera, because I just wouldn't have had an alternative camera on me and I'd have only used my phone. And to be honest, I just wouldn't have used my phone because it doesn't inspire me. I'd have just got the typical kind of boring photos rather than some maybe more focused, thought out pictures that I was taking on here. Especially when we walked around the old town, I actually took some pictures that I really quite liked. I think another standout positive from this experience is the fact that over the last 30 days, I probably have more family photos of like the little moments than I've ever taken before. Like, I'm not talking about like the really important trips and like family outings we've gone on, just the little moments. Sometimes the food we've eaten in an evening, like a nice barbecue, a little picnic that we took, a nice dog walk, stuff that is so far from portfolio worthy, but has quite a big, decent chunk of sentimental value to me. Now, I think typically this is where I would be pretty good at taking phone photos, but having that extra quality that a camera like this offers is definitely something I enjoyed, especially on the like picnic river walk that we did, where I took lots of pictures of our dog, and I absolutely loved these images and think they turned out great. Now, another thing that really stood out is the fact that having this with me all of the time has made me truly fall out of love with it. It sounds a bit ridiculous, but because I have it with me all the time, whenever I go and do something that is photography focused, this isn't the camera I want to pick up because it's all I've looked at for the last week. But because of this challenge, and I've been forcing myself to take this camera with me anyway, I have realized that this makes a really good B cam. A really good example of this is some poppy fields that Claire and I went to take some photos in one evening after work. Now, I predominantly used the Leica M10 here and my Summilux lenses, But having this little guy to fill in the gaps was actually awesome. I would not have taken another camera with me typically, but having this camera on me meant I was able to take some quick macro shots or really quickly take some more candid snaps using the autofocus. So this actually made a surprisingly good B cam on more than one occasion. But the downside is the fact that because I'm using it all the time, this now kind of isn't the camera that I want to pick up when I am going to do photography. Now I think potentially one really important question is, throughout the 43,000 minutes that I had this camera on me, did it result in just one portfolio worthy image that I wouldn't have taken if I didn't have it on me? And you know what? I think the answer might be no. And I think it's a little bit to do with me and my personal lifestyle, but also to do with the fact that I'm very good at taking a camera on trips with me anyway. So if I'm going on a trip, I will already have a camera on me. So the EDC element isn't really filling in any gaps there. Instead, it's filling in gaps in my daily life. And to be honest, I'm a little bit boring. I work from home predominantly, so a lot of the time I don't leave the house, and when I do leave the house to travel to work, it's a simple commute in the countryside. I do think if your lifestyle meant you was doing things like commuting through London, where things actually change quite frequently, then you might actually be getting opportunities that pop up and spring out of nowhere that having an EDC might help you with. But for me personally, I'm pretty good at taking a camera with me anyway, and the rest of the time, I'm a boring sod. So if we really quickly conclude this experience then, for me, it just so happened there was a lads trip during this 1 month kind of challenge. And for me, this camera definitely provided some value, but I don't think I can really have a dedicated camera for the occasional lads trip. From a family photo point of view, I definitely got some value out of it. I captured more kind of quiet, intimate moments for my family, and it definitely gets a thumbs up for that. But from a portfolio worthy image point of view, I don't think it provided any value at all, but I know for a fact that some of you guys out there must have got some value out of having an EDC, and I want to hear your stories down in the comments. For everybody else, if you've enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.